Hey guys, I wanted to give you a quick little rundown about this layout. Thank you so much for choosing it as one of the layouts of the week over at Studio Calico this week. I had a question asked about how this layout came together in terms of what parts are digital and what parts are paper products. So I thought I'd just put together a quick little video to walk you through how this came together. So this is a layout about the famous book Goodnight Moon, is one that my daughter Emily is just completely in love with right now. We read it multiple times a day, and it's definitely one of her favorites as we get ready for bed at night. And I wanted to make sure that I told the story and some of the little details about what happens when we read that story. So that's what this layout is about. So it is a two-page layout. It is 8.5 by 11 on each side. The left side is a full-page photo, and I will give you a closer view of how the digital portion of that came together. So this is the left-hand side. It's a photo on an 8.5 by 11 canvas. I added in a little bit more black at the bottom here. This is not the original size of the photo. I did stretch it out a little bit and then filled in the rest of the bottom with black so that I would have a lot of negative space here that I could add in some elements of journaling and just a few embellishments. So on the left hand side here, this is the digital version. I've got a digital stamp here by Ali Edwards. This is part of her Everyone Has a Story digital brushes that are available in Ali's shop. And just below that I put in a text box with my journaling. Looking at this on its own, you might think that it looks a little bit like a strange place to choose to place the text, the way that it's aligned all to the right hand side there, but what I did was I knew that I wanted to put in one of the big letter stickers that's included in the Ivy Tower add-on from Studio Calico. So I measured the size of that letter and included a rectangle shape the same size as that letter and just used it as a placeholder for aligning my text and my brush just to the left of that. When I was ready to print it out, I just hid it in the layers panel over on the right hand side because I obviously didn't want that white rectangle printed there, but it worked out beautifully in terms of being able to place my journaling block and my digital art there. So here is a closer version of what it looked like when it printed out. Sorry, I printed it out, just the digital version, and this is what it looks like when I've added my letter sticker, and also a chipboard heart is attached on there from the Far Far Away Project Life kit by Studio Calico as well. On the right hand side, this is the digital portion. So I have a big Goodnight Moon title in there with a few other sentiments above and below, which are actually lines from the story. I knew that I wanted to keep the space up top a little bit free because I was going to include one of the vellum moons from the Ivy Tower add-on, which was also by Studio Calico. So I kept a little bit of space up top to be able to do that. Really, I didn't measure it out. This was just kind of to my best guess about the sizing in terms of where I thought everything would fit. One of the things I wanted to share as well was for this Goodnight Moon portion, what I did actually, you can see if you look in the upper right hand corner of my layers panel in the opacity, it says that this version is about 16%. I intentionally did that because I decided kind of at the last minute that I wanted this moon portion to be made out of pattern paper from the Far Far Away scrapbook kit. So I duplicated this layer when it was at 100% opacity, like this. I duplicated it so that I would have two copies of it, and then I turned down the opacity of one layer, and on the other layer, the copied layer, which you can see over in my right hand side, I've made it kind of invisible at the moment, but there is a Goodnight Moon copy. I took out the moon part of that so that I would still have the nice dark black text for the goodnight portion, but turned down the opacity on the moon part so that I would be able to add the pattern paper over top of it without having the risk of any of the black showing out from behind it. So I printed out two copies of this onto regular paper. On one of them, I then cut out the letters of the moon and then traced them onto my pattern paper, and then just put the traced letters, or cut them out of the pattern paper and then put them right on top of this. So it was kind of like a little stencil or just an idea of where the moon was going to go. I also added a little bit of stitching onto the pattern paper to keep everything in place. So we'll take a look. Here is kind of a slightly closer look. The other thing I did did was include more of the digital art from Allie's Everyone Has a Story collection on this layout by including the little stories. So I made a 4x6 canvas. I dragged and dropped the little stories onto that canvas and printed it out onto just matte photo paper and then cut it out into a banner shape so that it would fit over top of the moon here. I also included a few other paper elements. So when we look closely at the page here, you can see I've also included a few of the gold splatter rub-ons in 4 spots on the right hand side of this layout. The little banner here, this is from a piece of pattern paper that was included in the Ivy Tower add-on as well, and I've cut it out into a banner shape and just attached it with my tiny attacher, like basically a small stapler. The bottom part, I included just a strip of the gold polka dot vellum and added a little bit of stitching on there to secure it in place. And I've got a label, a printable label that is on there as well that I had printed out and stamped the date on, and I just added a bit of stitching onto that as well to keep everything in place. So there you have it. This is the finished layout. This is the left side, the digital portion of it. This is the right side, the digital portion of it, and you can see in my finished layout how everything has come together. Thank you so much for all of your support and your kind words, and I'm so glad that people have been able to find some inspiration from this layout, and I can't wait to see what you make. Thanks again.